life can feel like it has slowed down in a way that is difficult to understand. You continue showing up, you continue trying, yet nothing seems to move. The effort is real, the intention is sincere, but the results you hoped for are still not there. It begins to feel like you are trapped in a chapter that refuses to change. The same struggles repeat, the same questions remain unanswered, and the future starts to feel uncertain. A quiet doubt begins to grow, making you wonder if this is how things will stay. But understand this clearly. What you are living right now is not the full story. There are parts of your journey that have not unfolded yet. There are outcomes being prepared and changes that are closer than they appear, even if you cannot see them at this moment. Do not let this phase convince you that nothing better is coming, because this chapter is not your final chapter. Better days are ahead. When you feel left behind in life, where it feels like everything around you is moving forward, while your own situation remains unchanged. You see progress happening in the lives of others. You notice growth, achievements, and visible improvements around you, and it creates a quiet question within you about your own path. It begins to feel like you are not where you are supposed to be. This feeling can be heavy, not because you are lacking effort, but because you are not seeing the outcome of that effort. You have been trying, you have been holding on, and you have been doing what you can, yet the results you expected are not appearing in the way you imagined. The comparison with others makes it even more difficult. You start to measure your progress against what you see around you, and it creates the impression that you are behind. You begin to question your direction, your timing, and even your decisions. It feels as though something is not aligning for you in the same way it is for others. But what needs to be understood is that progress is not always visible in the same way for everyone. Each path is different, and each journey moves according to a different pace. What you see on the outside is only a small part of someone else's story. You are not seeing their full journey, their challenges, or the timing of what they went through to reach where they are. Your own progress may not be visible yet. There are developments taking place within you that are not immediately apparent. Your understanding is changing, your patience is growing, and your ability to handle life is becoming stronger. These are forms of progress, even if they are not reflected in visible outcomes. Feeling left behind often comes from focusing only on what can be seen. When you look only at external results, it becomes easy to overlook the internal growth that is happening. That internal growth is what prepares you for what comes next. Without it, even visible success would not have the same stability. There are also times when delay is part of protection. Being placed later in something can prevent you from entering situations that are not right for you. It can keep you away from outcomes that would not have benefited you. What feels like being behind may actually be a form of being held back for the right reason. It is important not to define your position based on where others are. Your journey is not a comparison. It is a process that is specific to you. Measuring it against someone else's timeline creates unnecessary pressure and confusion. Understanding that your path is unfolding in its own way brings a sense of balance. What you are going through is not a sign that you have been forgotten. It is a sign that your timing is different, and that difference has a purpose, even if it is not immediately clear. There are outcomes that require preparation, and that preparation takes place before the results become visible. You may be in a part of your journey where that preparation is still happening. Recognizing this allows you to view your situation with more clarity, from feeling left behind to understanding that you are still moving even if the movement is not obvious. It allows you to accept that your path is not defined by speed but by direction, and your direction is still being shaped in a way that aligns with what is meant for you. When your strength starts to feel like a burden, where being strong no longer feels empowering but exhausting, you have been holding yourself together for so long that it begins to feel heavy. You carry responsibilities, emotions, expectations, and silent struggles without showing how much it is affecting you. It may look like you are managing everything well, People may see you as someone who can handle pressure, someone who does not break easily, but inside the weight continues to build. Strength is often praised, but it is not always understood. When you are the one who keeps going, who does not complain, who continues even when things are difficult, it creates an expectation that you will always be able to carry more. That expectation can turn your strength into something that feels like a burden rather than a support. You begin to feel like you cannot slow down. You feel like you cannot show weakness. You feel like you have to keep everything together, even when it is becoming difficult to do so. This kind of pressure can be overwhelming. Carrying so much without relief can make even small challenges feel heavier. Your mind becomes tired, your emotions become strained, and your ability to stay balanced begins to weaken. It is not because you are incapable, but because you have been carrying too much for too long without pause. There is also a silent struggle that comes with this. You may not express how you feel, not because you do not want to, but because you have become used to handling things on your own. You may feel that others depend on your strength, and showing difficulty might change how they see you. But strength is not meant to feel like constant pressure. True strength includes the ability to recognize when something is heavy. It includes the awareness to understand your limits and the wisdom to know that carrying everything alone is not always the right approach. When strength starts to feel like a burden, it is a sign that something needs to change. It does not mean you are becoming weak. It means you have been strong for a long time without the balance that is needed to sustain it. Even the strongest person requires moments of ease, moments of reflection, and moments where the weight is not as heavy. There is also a purpose behind this feeling. It brings awareness to the fact that you are carrying more than you should. It helps you recognize what is affecting you and encourages you to shift your approach. It allows you to move from simply enduring everything to understanding how to manage it better. You are not expected to carry everything perfectly. Life includes challenges, and it also includes moments where you need to step back internally and reassess what you are holding on to. Not everything that you are carrying needs to remain with you. Letting go of unnecessary weight is part of maintaining strength. When you release what is not needed, you create space for clarity and stability. You allow your strength to return to its true form, not as something that burdens you, but as something that supports you. Understanding this changes your perspective. It allows you to see that strength is not about constantly enduring without rest. It is about maintaining balance, knowing your limits, and allowing yourself to move through challenges with awareness rather than pressure. When your strength starts to feel like a burden, it is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you have been carrying more than enough. And that awareness is the first step toward restoring your balance. When you question your direction, there are points in life where the path you are on no longer feels as clear as it once did. What you believed in with certainty begins to feel uncertain, and the direction you are following starts to feel unfamiliar. You begin to pause more often, thinking deeply about your choices and wondering if you are truly moving the right way. This questioning can feel uncomfortable. You may begin to wonder if you made the right decisions, if you chose the right path, or if you should have taken a different direction entirely. These thoughts can become heavy because they create a sense of doubt where there was once confidence. When clarity fades, it becomes difficult to move forward with the same level of ease. You start to second guess your actions. Even simple decisions may begin to feel complicated. You look at your situation and feel unsure about what the next step should be, and that uncertainty can slow you down. But questioning your direction is not always a negative sign. It does not always mean that you are lost. In many cases, it means that you are becoming more aware. It shows that you are no longer moving without thought, and that you are beginning to understand that your choices matter in a deeper way. This kind of reflection allows you to look beyond what is immediate. You begin to think about your purpose, your priorities, and what truly aligns with your life. You start to notice what feels right and what does not, even if you cannot fully explain it. There is a difference between moving forward without questioning and moving forward with awareness. Without questioning, a person may continue in a direction that is not suitable simply because it feels familiar. With questioning, there is a chance to adjust, to correct, and to move towards something that is more aligned with what is right. It is important not to let this questioning turn into constant doubt. There is a balance that needs to be maintained. Reflection should lead to clarity, not confusion. It should help you understand your path better, not make you feel stuck. You may not have all the answers immediately. Some clarity comes gradually through experience and through observation. It becomes clearer as you move, not while you remain completely still. The answers you are looking for often appear as you continue to engage with your path. There is also growth within this process. You begin to understand yourself better. You become more aware of your intentions, your values, and your direction. This awareness helps you make decisions that are more thoughtful and more stable. When you question your direction, it is an opportunity. It allows you to reassess where you are, to understand what needs to change, and to move with a greater sense of purpose. It helps you avoid continuing in a direction that does not serve you. Uncertainty may feel heavy, but it also creates space for clarity to develop. It encourages you to slow down internally, to think deeply, and to ensure that the path you are following is one that truly aligns with your well-being. Your journey is not defined by how certain you feel at every moment. It is shaped by how you respond to that uncertainty, how you reflect, and how you continue to align yourself with what is right. Questioning your direction is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are becoming more aware of where you are going, and that awareness is what leads to a clearer and more meaningful path. When your patience feels tested, there are periods in life where waiting becomes one of the most difficult things to handle. You have done what you can, you have made your effort, and you have placed your hopes in a certain outcome, yet what you are waiting for does not arrive when you expect it. The delay begins to feel longer than you imagined, and the silence that comes with it starts to affect you. Patience is often spoken about as something simple, but living through it can feel heavy. It is not just about waiting for something to happen. It is about holding yourself together while nothing seems to be changing. It is about maintaining your stability when you do not have clear answers, and continuing to believe when the results are not visible. This kind of waiting can create internal pressure. You begin to question how long you are supposed to wait. You wonder if your effort is enough or if something is missing. The longer the delay continues, the more your thoughts begin to shift from hope to uncertainty. It becomes difficult to remain steady when the outcome is not in sight. Patience starts to feel less like strength and more like struggle. It feels like you are holding on to something without knowing if it will ever come. This can create emotional exhaustion, where even your thoughts begin to feel heavy. But patience is not simply about enduring difficulty. It is about understanding that there are processes taking place that you cannot see. There are factors being arranged, conditions being aligned, and outcomes being prepared in a way that requires time. What you are waiting for may not be ready yet. Not because it will not happen, but because it needs to happen at the right moment. There is a difference between delay and denial. When something is denied, it is not meant for you. When something is delayed, it is still part of your path, but its timing is not aligned with your expectations. Recognizing this difference changes how you experience patience. Waiting without understanding can feel like standing still. Waiting with awareness allows you to see that something is still unfolding, even if it is not visible. It allows you to hold on to a sense of direction without being overwhelmed by the lack of immediate results. Patience also shapes your ability to handle what comes next. What you receive after waiting is not just about the outcome, but about who you have become during that waiting period. Your ability to remain steady, to manage your thoughts, and to maintain your balance prepares you to handle the next phase of your life in a stronger way. There is also a refinement that happens within you. You begin to understand what truly matters. You become more aware of your priorities, and your focus becomes clearer. The waiting period removes distractions and allows you to see things with greater depth. Even though it feels difficult, patience is not without purpose. It creates strength that is not visible on the surface. It develops a level of understanding that cannot be gained through immediate results. It allows you to grow in a way that prepares you for what is ahead. It is important not to measure patience by how long it lasts. Its value is not in the duration, but in what it produces within you. The changes that happen internally during this period are what make the outcome meaningful when it finally arrives. What feels like a test of patience is also an opportunity to develop stability. It is a chance to learn how to remain steady without needing immediate reassurance. It is a way of strengthening your ability to handle uncertainty without losing your sense of direction. The waiting you are experiencing is not empty. It is filled with processes that are not visible but are still taking place. Understanding this allows you to approach it with a different mindset, one that is not overwhelmed by the delay but aware of its purpose. When your patience feels tested, it does not mean that you are being left without progress. It means you are in a part of your journey where preparation is taking place, and that preparation is necessary for what is meant to come next. When you feel like giving up quietly, when the struggle becomes so internal that no one else can truly see it, you may still be functioning, still showing up, still doing what is expected of you. But inside, there is a deep sense of exhaustion that words cannot easily describe. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is real. It is the kind of feeling where you no longer have the same energy to keep trying the way you once did. You may not express it openly. You may not tell anyone that you are tired, that you are losing motivation, or that you are starting to feel like letting go of certain efforts. Instead, you carry it quietly, keeping everything within while appearing stable on the outside. This quiet form of giving up can be more difficult than anything visible. It is not a sudden decision. It is a gradual shift where your expectations begin to lower, your effort begins to decrease, and your hope begins to fade. You do not stop completely, but something within you is no longer as engaged as it used to be. This happens when you have tried repeatedly without seeing the outcome you hoped for. You reach a point where continuing feels uncertain, where investing more energy feels risky, and where expecting change feels difficult. You begin to protect yourself from disappointment by slowly reducing how much you hope. There is also a kind of emotional fatigue that develops. You are not just tired of the situation itself, but tired of the cycle of trying, waiting, and not seeing results. This repetition creates a sense of heaviness that affects your thoughts and your outlook. It is important to understand that feeling like giving up does not mean that everything is over. It means you have reached a point where your current approach, your expectations, or your perspective may need to shift. It is a signal, not a conclusion. There are moments in life where the path becomes unclear, and in those moments your energy naturally reduces. This does not mean you have lost your ability to move forward. It means you need clarity, not pressure. Pushing yourself without understanding what you are facing can increase the weight you are already carrying. What is needed is awareness. You need to recognize what you are feeling without ignoring it. You need to understand why you are feeling this way instead of forcing yourself to continue in the same manner. This understanding allows you to adjust rather than withdraw completely. There is also a deeper aspect to this experience. When you feel like giving up quietly, it often means you have been relying on outcomes to keep you motivated. When those outcomes do not appear, your motivation begins to weaken. Shifting your focus from results to understanding can change how you experience the situation. You begin to see that your journey is not only about reaching a specific outcome, but about how you navigate the process. This change in perspective can restore a sense of balance. You no longer measure everything by immediate results. You begin to recognize the value in maintaining stability, in understanding yourself, and in allowing things to unfold without constant pressure. The feeling of wanting to give up does not define your path. It is part of the process that allows you to pause internally, to reassess, and to regain clarity. It gives you the opportunity to step out of a cycle that may not be working and to approach your situation in a more balanced way. You are not expected to carry everything without feeling the weight. Recognizing that weight is part of being aware. It allows you to respond with understanding rather than reaction. It allows you to move forward with a clearer perspective rather than with exhaustion. What feels like giving up quietly is not the end of your journey. It is a moment where you are being guided to understand yourself, your situation, and your direction in a deeper way. When you start seeing yourself differently in your journey, where something within you begins to shift, not in a loud or dramatic way, but in a quiet and steady manner, you start to notice that your reactions are not the same as they used to be. Situations that once affected you deeply no longer carry the same weight. The way you think begins to change, and your understanding of yourself becomes clearer. This change does not happen because everything around you has improved. It happens because something within you has developed. You begin to see yourself with a different level of awareness. You start to recognize your patterns, your habits, and the way you respond to situations. You understand why certain things affected you the way they did. And you begin to notice areas where you have grown without even realizing it. There is a sense of distance from your old reactions. You are no longer as quick to respond emotionally. You are able to pause, to think, and to approach situations with more balance. This does not mean you no longer feel, but it means your feelings no longer control you in the same way. This shift brings a sense of calm. You begin to feel more stable within yourself. The external circumstances may not have fully changed, but your ability to handle them has improved. You are not as easily shaken, and you are more aware of what deserves your attention and what does not. You also begin to see your value differently. Defining yourself based on external validation, you start to understand your worth from within. You no longer rely on others to confirm what you already know. This awareness creates a sense of independence that strengthens your overall state. There is also a clarity that develops in your decision making. You begin to make choices based on understanding rather than emotion. You are less influenced by temporary feelings and more guided by what aligns with your well-being. This allows you to move with greater confidence and stability. This transformation often happens quietly. Others may not notice it immediately, but you feel it. You notice the difference in how you think, how you respond, and how you carry yourself. This internal shift is one of the most important forms of growth because it changes the foundation of how you experience life. It is important to recognize that this change is not accidental. It is the result of everything you have been through. The challenges, the uncertainty, the moments of reflection all contribute to this new level of understanding. Without those experiences, this clarity would not have developed. You also begin to let go of things more easily. What once felt difficult to release no longer holds the same power over you. You understand that not everything needs to be held onto, and this understanding creates a sense of freedom. There is a balance that begins to form within you. You are more aware of your thoughts, more in control of your reactions, and more aligned with what truly matters. This balance allows you to navigate life with a sense of calm that was not present before. Seeing yourself differently is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more aware of who you already are. It is about recognizing your strength, your growth, and your ability to handle situations with greater clarity. This awareness changes how you move forward. You are no longer guided by confusion or uncertainty in the same way. You are guided by understanding, by awareness, and by a deeper sense of clarity about your path. What has developed within you is not temporary. It is a foundation that will continue to support you as you move through different phases of your life. It allows you to approach future situations with a stronger and more balanced perspective. When you start seeing yourself differently, it is a sign that something important has changed within you, and that change is what prepares you for what comes next. When you realize something better was always ahead, your journey, where your understanding begins to change in a way that feels calm and certain. The confusion that once filled your mind starts to fade, and the situation that once felt heavy begins to appear different. What you were holding on to, what you were trying to make sense of, and what you once believed was necessary for your happiness no longer feels the same. Clarity begins to settle within you. You start to recognize that what you once thought was right for you may not have truly aligned with your path. You begin to see the difference between what you wanted and what was actually beneficial for you. That distinction brings a sense of relief, because it removes the pressure of trying to hold on to something that was never meant to remain. There is also a realization that develops quietly. You understand that the delays, the changes, and even the endings were not random. They were part of a process that guided you away from something that could have brought more difficulty into your life. What once felt like a loss begins to feel like a form of direction. This shift in perspective changes how you view everything. You no longer see your journey as something that went wrong. You begin to see that it was unfolding in a way that you could not fully understand at the time. What you experienced was not a mistake, but a necessary part of reaching this level of awareness. There is also a sense of gratitude that begins to form. Not because everything was easy, but because you can now see the benefit of what happened. You recognize that what was removed created space for something better. You understand that what felt like a setback was actually a step towards something more suitable for you. You also begin to trust your path more. The uncertainty that once made you question everything starts to lose its hold. You realize that not everything needs to be understood immediately. Some things become clear only after you have moved through them. This understanding creates a sense of peace. You are no longer trying to force answers or hold on to what has already passed. You are able to accept what happened and focus on what is ahead with a clearer mind. This acceptance allows you to move with more stability and less confusion. There is also a change in how you approach the future. You become more aware of what aligns with you and what does not. You are more careful with your decisions, more thoughtful in your actions, and more conscious of the direction you are taking. This awareness helps you avoid situations that do not support your well-being. The realization that something better was always ahead is not about comparing what you lost with what you gained. It is about understanding that your journey was guiding you towards something that fits you in a deeper and more meaningful way. It is about recognizing that what you were moving toward could not have been reached if things had remained the same. You also begin to see that your growth was necessary. Without the experiences you went through, you would not have developed the understanding you now have. You would not have reached the clarity that allows you to see things differently. Everything you experienced contributed to this moment. There is a sense of confidence that comes with this realization. Not the kind that is loud or outward, but a quiet confidence that comes from understanding your path. You no longer feel lost in the same way because you can see how things have come together. What once felt uncertain now feels guided. You understand that your journey was not about immediate results, but about reaching a place where you could see things clearly. That clarity is what allows you to move forward without carrying the same confusion. When you realize that something better was always ahead, you also realize that what you went through was not without purpose. It was leading you toward this understanding, this awareness, and this ability to see your path in a way that is grounded and clear. And with that realization, the weight of the past becomes lighter because you can finally see that what is ahead holds something that is more aligned with who you are meant to become. There are chapters in life that feel longer than expected, heavier than they should be, and unclear in a way that makes everything seem uncertain. You look at where you are and it feels like nothing is shifting, like this phase might define everything. But a single chapter does not define an entire story. What you are experiencing right now is only a part of something much larger. There are moments ahead that have not yet appeared, outcomes that have not yet unfolded, and changes that will make sense of what feels unclear today. This phase is not permanent. What feels heavy now will not stay the same. What feels uncertain now will not remain unclear. There is more to your story than what you can currently see. So do not let this moment convince you that this is how everything will end. Because what lies ahead is not only different, it is better than what you are going through right now.